So I hope you guys are there and you stay with me for the next 20 minutes while we talk about new developments on the Weyermann malt side. And let's dive right in. Most of you know me. I'm Axel Jani. I'm the team leader of the Weyermann International Customer Consultants. That means I usually travel the world and talk with brewers and customers about malts and recipes. I'm a trained brewer and maltster. I've got my diploma from VLB Berlin, and I'm 33 years of professional brewing. Well, this year, as we all know, it's a bit different. So we revert back to, for the first time, really to go to all these webinars. Today, I brought a few subjects along, very provocative on Charles Ferram's hop walk to say, is malt the new hop? Then we talk a bit about base malts, the story, some specialty malts with unique colors and flavors, and some technical malts for low ABV. And to round it up, I'll speak about the very good harvest that we've had, fortunately, this year on 2-row German spring barley. And rest assured, it will be not as dry as it first seems because we're talking a lot of beer recipes. Okay, so is malt the new hop? Of course not. But it just seems that brewers are now, looking into non-hop flavors, what can be done in the beers. And obviously, yes, on the malt does impart different flavors, not as aromatic as hop, of course, and the development is much slower. But yes, malt has more emphasis in terms of flavor. The same stands for yeast. Yeast does bring a lot of flavors into beers too. So it is not so much anymore just the hop side that is being looked upon, but what malt is being used and what fermentation I have been using to brew my specific beer. And when you look at our portfolio, we've got 85 different products grouped in base malts, premium base malts, technical malts, smoked, Belgium style, caramel and roasted malts, or chocolate malts. And so yes, it is a big portfolio, but very cool product range. What do you have anything new? And fortunately, we are not only a malt house, but we have a beautiful pilot brewery where we are able to brew on a day-to-day basis with all the malts that we produce. And that's a very short distance from the malt house to the beer. And our team around Konstantin is constantly developing new beer recipes and that help our customers around the world to get input. Not that they are asking for the specific recipe, they will definitely create their own, but we are always happy to send them out, and that's part of how we promote our malt, and it's nice to see the result in terms of the beer flavors. And one craft beer trend that we currently see is that trend from IPA towards lagers for their great drinkability. And it's also a brewmaster's pride. It's been, we all started, or, everything that is going on in the craft beer scene is thanks to the IPAs. But the technology in the brewhouse just moved on. There was more money for more cooling and more knowledge around different beer styles. So this is sort of like that trend that once you mastered the IPAs, you just continue to go and even make lagers. And it's not going to be a mainstream lager, but you want to do something unique. And well, the second reason is again derived from the situation in 2020. Obviously, a lot of places are unfortunate and they cannot sell the beers. So it is good to have something in the tanks that can lager longer. There is more tank space available. So that is also a good reason to stay. Yes, I want to look into lager brewing just because I have that tank availability at the moment. And for that, it's good to look into the terroir, the heirloom, and the traditional malts that give that uniqueness. And when you look at it, I mean, we call it the base malts with a story and emotion. So authentic heirloom varieties is our Barke, and this year we brought Isaria into our portfolio. The amount is still very small, so I don't even think it's on the price list yet, but there's certainly something coming along which gives another option for the brewer to brew with heirloom varieties. I will talk about this in a minute. Then we look in 2 slides at the terroir malts and why is it a terroir malt, and the traditional malting technologies like Bohemian floor malting. And all of these are summarized that the customers like an emotional connection. It's definitely something that you want to promote and talk about. You would not make an IPA with a Bohemian floor malt. So these are special ingredients for special beers. But you want that unique malt flavor profile. But on the other hand, you are always expecting quality and brewing performance. So this is for and foremost the aim, to have a high quality product. And when you look at the heirloom varieties, Barke, we have Barke in the portfolio for quite a while now. It was a two-row spring barley variety grown by Saatzucht Bräun, and it has excellent brewing properties. One large commercial brewery, the Augustiner Brewery in Munich, is exclusively using Barke for all of their beers, and Weyermann made it available for customers around the world to use the Barke variety in Pilsner, in Vienna, and in Munich style. And the uniqueness is it's always been a very good brewing barley variety, but it was phased out because the crop on the field was not high enough. And but now with the emphasis on flavor, it's certainly something that is worthwhile to bring back. And thanks to our contracted farmers, they have the trust in us and they started growing Barke for us again. And it's been truly a success story. And unfortunately, we can't sample the malt together now, but virtually I can only tell you the maltiness, how the malt flavor lingers on in your mouth when you eat the kernels, just stays on so much longer. And I think it's something like when you say a beer is malty, that does not mean it has to be malty sweet, but that flavor just that is staying, even if you have just a very simple Helles, which is not very simple to make because you can't hide anything in it. It doesn't have to be. It can be crisp. It can be, even like 12% only, quite a crisp, refreshing beer. Yet there is maltiness to it, and that is thanks to these premium base malts. Isaria is again the newest development. It's one of the oldest commercially bred barley varieties in the world. Certainly the one in Germany. Ackermann was, following the footsteps of your fellow Englishmen who started it all with two-row barley varieties, Chevalier, and then in 1903, Ackermann also took on the barley breeding, and Isaria has been out of the fields for the last 60 years, and together with Ackermann we bring this back. Currently we have about 200 tons of it for the first brews this year, but next year there will be much more coming. So certainly interesting developments there on the heirloom varieties, which I always compare to the tomatoes. Like your grandmother's tomatoes were the ones who were spicy, who were fruity, had flavor varieties, and now the ones in the supermarket are just red hard balls and no flavor. This is sort of like my comparison on the heirloom varieties. Here I brought a Vienna lager recipe along, where we just did win World Best Lager in Vienna style with our number 26 Sissy's Vienna Lager. And when you look at the recipe, it got 83% of Barke Vienna malt, so a very nice solid base, plus the 2% acidulated malt. As you know, in Germany, according to the Reinheitsgebot, pH reduction in the mash has to be done in a natural way. So the 2% acidulated malt help to get the pH nice and having a good yield. So that malt really pays for itself. And then the 5% melanoidin malt. Melanoidin is the darkest reddish malt coming from a traditional kiln. Gives that amber hue in the beer. And then the Cara Munich as a true caramel malt here in the type 1, in the lightest version. All these 4 malts together created an award-winning lager, the Vienna lager, which is one of the styles that comes out of Austria, really, or the only style. And it's been really a nice beer to drink and a beautiful color. And on the other hand, I brought something a bit more big and bold, a barley wine with 25 Plato and 10.5% alcohol. Again, 77% Vienna Barke, plus some Cara Pils, acidulated malt, and the Cara Belge. So you've got these biscuit notes and the Cara Red, and the result is then this color here. Really a nice example of a barley wine. Also, a good way to put this into a barrel for additional barrel aging. We have this one currently in an Ardbeg barrel, and the barley wine together with the Ardbeg smoke flavor turns it into a really, really nice winter beer. So definitely something to look at. And as mentioned, give Charles Ferrum a call or give me a call or send an email, and we can discuss recipes. Oops, what happened? Sorry, guys. Here I am. This is the trouble of working with 2 computers. Sing. All right, good. Next one is a terroir malt. What is so different? Terroir barley. What is so different from a heirloom one? It is really when the flavor is imparted from the terroir. So we all know this more from the wine side, but here Eraclea is a little city above Venice. Very close to the Adriatic Sea. Here on the aerial shot, you see that the barley fields are really all the way towards the beach. And it is a 2-row spring barley variety that is sown in autumn because it is a frost-free region pretty much, and the fog and precipitation above Venice or in Italy, northern Italy, helps to have a nice growth over the winter time. And the moisture in spring is still enough before it gets very hot down there. So it is really a flavor that is imparted from the climate and the growing situation in Eraclea. If you compare this, the kernels almost smell like raw barley. It has more grassy notes to it. It's not so much malt forward, but more like if you would stand in the receiving station where the farmers would bring in the barley. And this smell is still there once you made a nice malt out of it. And it truly is creating a new style. It is that Italian style Pilsner, very crisp, very refreshing, suitable for a warm summer day without cloying. It's not, it cleanses your tongue and your throat, and you enjoy many of these beers by having that terroir malt together with 10% Cara Pils for a beautiful foam, and a bit of acidulated malt, again, for keeping also the color very hay-like, very sunlight. And I think, again, that this Italian style Pilsner beers, where Peroni also comes into, will be its own style pretty soon, I would say. So definitely something you should try next summer. Last but not least, the traditional maltings, the floor maltings. This is our floor malting facility in the Czech Republic. Floor malted malt is a little bit more expensive. It is labor intensive. Thomas Kraus-Weiermann has to turn each kernel himself. So yes, it does come with a bit of a handling fee, I would say. But on the other hand, the aroma in comparison to a modern malt house malt is just there because there's no artificial aeration. When you look at here on the bed heights is probably 20 centimeter. There's no air being pushed through. So throughout the 5 days on the malt floor, there is no push out of volatile aromas, and that carries on very much into the Bohemian malt. And as a recipe suggestion, 92% of floor malted Bohemian, again, our technical addition of Cara Pils and acidulated. And as a little tweak and as a reminiscence and homage towards the Czech beers is a 1% Cara Bohemian. It is a very dark caramel malt of ours, and only 1% gives this typical Pilsner hue, this old gold color in the Czech Pilsners. So that is the twist in that recipe. And if you would take that away, you would be like a northern German Jever style Pils, even a little bit lighter colored. But that Cara Bohemian is the Czech tweak towards lagers. Right. Another craft beer trend is a trend towards colorful beers, red ales, red lagers, the German Rot beer. That's something that has been not known for a long time. And now the Nuremberg Rot beer is a popular beer style. And of course, the Schwarzbier. Black beer, the German Schwarzbier, per definition, is a lager that if you close your eyes, you would not notice the blackness. So that is sort of the idea of it. So the ingredients have to be, yes, black. On the other hand, not as roasted, and so not so much flavor imparting. So that's the Schwarzbier. And for that, Melanoiden, Cara Red, and Cara Far Spezial are the malts of choice. And here you find the Bamberger Hofbräu Rot beer, Barke Pilsner 65. And then the Melanoiden malt, 8%. We've seen that before. That dark kilned malt together with Cara Red. So that combination, when you look, that chart, it does not say on the top the EBC, but it is drawn in a way that the pale is on the left, very dark on the right. So here in the middle, you have sort of the same color range of the Melanoiden and the Cara Red, or a similar one, but the color temperature is different. So the Melanoiden gives more of a teak color, mahogany color, more into brown, and the Cara Red more into orange. So the secret of a true red beer is a combination. You can go and stay 10 and 10, or you can tweak it whichever way you want. But it's good to create like a glowing red. You need to have Mela and Cara Red together. Because if you have these two colors, brown and orange, they start to be going towards the red. And then with some Cara Munich, as that malty backbone of it, you have a very nice, colorful beer. And so the secret of that is really that combination of Mela and Cara for a red beer. And obviously you can take this and then instead of the Barke Pilsner, use a pale ale malt. Where is it? Should be there somewhere on the list. Where is the pale ale? Can't see it. So yeah, something to play with. Another trend over here, at least, and around the world. You guys in the UK have been excelling and really making very nice low ABV ales for a long time. But over here, it was always, the beer has to be around 5 alcohol by volume and 12 and 13 Plato. That is the beer. Anything below is nothing, and it's not worth looking at. And if you want to reduce the alcohol content, you would pour Sprite or lemonade in it to make a Radler. But that changes now, and people are saying, yes, I don't want to risk my license, but I still want to drink a true beer rather than having a shandy. So what is there to make a Berliner Weisse style beer, a harvest beer? So the aim really is to have a 2.5, 3% alcohol beer with the same flavor as a fully grown 5% beer, and for that it always helps to use Cara Pils and Cara Hell, as that makes the yeast harder to ferment into fermentable sugars. And also, we'll talk a minute about liquid malt extracts and sour wort. I just have to check, or I'm pretty much done with my time already, so I will have to rush. I will skip, Cara Pils, Cara Hell specification, and then the harvest beer here with 7.5 Plato and 2.5% alcohol, and you would not notice the difference. It is from the looks of it, by having a bit of Cara Red, despite the fact that it is so low in Plato, it does have a rich yellow color, and it's a very, very nice beer without having the alcohol. And the non-alcoholic wheat beer, together, as you know, fermented SAF ale yeast, the LA01, has been, a very good success as a non-alcoholic fermenting yeast. And we get below the 0.05, so legally it is over here an alcohol-free beer. And it's certainly something. There are ways to produce, even on a small scale, very nice alcohol-free beers. Last slide, harvest in Germany, 2-row spring barley harvest in areas where Weyermann has their fields and their contracted farmers. It was beautiful. We had enough precipitation in spring to have fully grown plum kernels, and then during the harvest time, it must have been the record-breaking hot. Protein levels around 10.8. Kernel size is much better than 2019, where there was more draft in early times of the year. And so, in summary, a very dry harvest, very clean and very healthy kernels. So no fusarium on it or anything that goes towards gushing. And yes, well pleased with it, how this harvest turned out. Right. I think I'm at the end of the presentation. No, I don't think so, but I am, I'm sure. Thanks so much. And I hope to see you all again in UK, healthy and safe next time. Cheers, guys. Bye.